Tim, should we tell the listeners how to join the Golf Week Amateur Tour?
Yes, of course. We should probably do it now before we forget, though.
I agree. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.
And remember, this podcast can be found on all the major platforms. So make sure you like, download, and share it with all your friends and family.
Chris, that's a great idea. Now, on to the show. Hey, Chris, good to see you, bud.
Likewise. It's always great to come on the episodes and have a chat with you. I know I've gotten nothing but good responses from you ragging me on the last one, so we'll see how this one goes.
Well, again, we've got two really good guests. Obviously, Roger's going to come on and give us some information about some rules. One that I was really confused on, the whole scenario, and we'll let him kind of play it out. And then we have a very special guest. We're going to combine professional wrestling with golf. So just kind of hang tight with us and see how it goes.
Yeah, let's get it going.
Let's get started. Welcome to the Golf Week Amateur Tour, the podcast. We are your hosts, Tim Newman and Chris Rocha. As the oldest and largest amateur golf tour in the country, we put on individual stroke play golf tournaments that are handicapped by flights in 48 markets across the country. The Golf Week Amateur Tour, where amateurs play like pros.
Tim, welcome back. I know you had, I believe you had some events this past weekend while I was able to relax a little bit. How did the events go?
Well, the Chimney Oaks event was great. We love that facility there. They really treat us nice. We stayed in the real nice condo there. It was great. Good scores. We actually had a C flight player, shoot his lowest round ever. That actually went to the handicap committee, and it's kind of funny about that because me and that player have had conversations for years about handicaps and how we monitor them and when they get looked at and those types of conversations. Right. And when I saw his score, when I had to tell him, I said, Steve, you just need to understand you shot below the range, and I've got to submit you. Obviously, I'm going to advocate for you and then that, but that's just kind of how it goes. And right. He understood. He was a little upset because he's one that kind of monitors it for other people, and now it was on him. So I'm glad it worked out. He didn't get disqualified.
Good.
Primarily because that was his lowest score ever, and we have a long history on him, and actually for the C flight, for whatever reason at that course, we had the top 6 players shot under a C flight index. So
wow.
all of them were under 14.
Right.
And all the other flights, we may have had one that was not out of range, but maybe below the limit for each flight. But I just thought that was kind of strange and an anomaly.
Yeah, it's usually crazy how it works out. I don't think, sometimes the players don't understand how it works out. But it's good that it worked in his favor, and to have your low score count is always nice.
Absolutely.
Well, as we get this episode started, we have our favorite guest on once again to cover his rules segment. So let's welcome in Roger. Roger, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Favorite guest. I don't know about that. I better check with some other players. Sometimes I'm the least favorite guy they want to speak to. But
Roger, I've never heard that, bud.
Yep. Yeah. I'm doing great. Yeah. Played last weekend at that 2-day event in Golden Horseshoe. Got out with some friends, so I'm doing fine, thanks. And Chris, I want to say congrats. Listening to the podcast last podcast, you shot some great scores. So congrats to your game improving as well. Maybe we'll compete together someday.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. It's been a grind, and it's actually been kind of fun that Tim kind of looks at my scores and we kind of have a little talk about it, because it's kind of tracking how the improvement's been going. So it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to revisit the goals segment I had at the beginning of the year and see if I accomplished any goals or not, because I haven't really looked at it since then.
Yeah, well, that's right. I remember you guys did that episode. I should have done that this year myself, but maybe next year. Yeah.
Well, Chris, it is fun to watch, your progress. You're not the only one that I watch, but, when you're having a good round, I want to text you, and I said, no, I'll hold off until the end. But there's some guys that are playing well that I'll text in the middle of the round, and then when we text them back, I said, why you bothering me? You should be playing golf, not look at your phone.
Right. So sometimes it's great, but as the director, when we have to check everything else, it can get distracting, and it's cost me a tournament or two, but it's something I got to learn to get over and maybe get a little bit better at that.
Oh, baby steps. I mean, look at how far you've come in just a year. So, I mean, you're doing really well. Although, the last two episodes we've had, somebody has suggested that you just buy a new putter in each episode. So I'm not sure if you want to do that or just keep the one you got. So we'll see.
I'll keep the one I have for now. Putters aren't cheap. Let's get into the rules part of it. So we were talking, I know through email, about a rule that came up that we had a question about. I know you took some time to go in and research it, so why don't we give you the floor and go in and go over that.
So I do appreciate these sessions myself, because it does keep me on my toes about things, and something that we don't deal with on our tour very much, because we don't have these as much, are temporary immovable obstructions. And we see these on TV all the time. They could be grandstands, they could be TV towers, they could be tents, all of these type of things, which the only thing I could think of maybe in our tour, we'll set up, like our tour director, Lyle, he might set up his tent and he'll set up some things.
Right.
And temporary immovable obstructions aren't normally placed there, but they're different than just regular immovable obstructions, because they're not a normal part of the course, but they are considered immovable while they're there, but they're just temporary. So that's basically the definition of temporary immovable obstructions.
Right.
But they do afford the player some different relief options than a regular immovable obstruction. And what I mean by that is you could have, just like an immovable obstruction, like a cart path or a shed or a utility box, physical interference from that temporary immovable obstruction. Your club, your stance, your swing. So just think of that as the same as an immovable obstruction. But then the big thing is the line of sight interference. That temporary immovable obstruction is in your line of sight from where your ball lays and the hole itself. And you're behind it and it's in your line of play. Or both. You could have both on there. So is that clear on that part of it?
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah. Okay. So you get relief. You can take, just for a temporary removal, a TIO is what they're short. So I'm just going to say TIO from here on out. A TIO, you can take the same relief that you would have for an immovable obstruction if you choose so. So you would find your closest point of relief from the physical interference. Then you get a full club length from that point and play on. So you can have line of sight interference where your stance and your swing are fine, that the interference doesn't, but it's seeing the hole. That temporary TIO is in your way. And one of the things you have to think of is, let's say you spray one way to the right. To get temporary, to get relief from a TIO, you have to be able to reach that TIO. So let's say you spray one to the right, but that temporary movable obstruction is 400 yards away. Even though it might be in your line of sight, if you can't reach that temporary immovable obstruction with your stroke, you are not granted relief. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. But most of the time when we see this, it's when the player can reach that temporary immovable obstruction, either reach it or go over it or around it, that you are going to be able to get relief. Now, what happened on tour was Justin Thomas was behind a tree, for one thing. And although the line of sight was the TIO was in his line of sight, what the official determined was he did not see any way that Justin would be able to shape a shot that would be able to go around this tree in such a manner that the temporary movable obstruction would be in his way, because he would have had to hit, say, a big, I guess it would have been a draw for him. And for him to go around, and his line of play didn't have anything to do with that temporary immovable obstruction. So he wasn't granted relief, even though it was in his line of sight. You also have to indicate, you have to have a reasonable chance of hitting a shot that temporary movable obstruction would be in your way. So it could be 20 feet from you, but if you're behind a bush or a tree and you still can take a swing at it, but that swing you're going to have to do a 90-degree turn to get around that, then you're not going to get relief. So it's basically unreasonable for you to be able to take relief from the temporary movable obstruction, because it's really not a play that you can make. Now, if it's right in your way, you take a straight shot, the temporary movable obstruction is right, you're going to take a straight shot to the hole and it's right there in front of you, then yes, you get to move your ball so that line of sight interference does not exist anymore, so that you can see the hole. And that it might mean you have to move, if it's a big grandstand or something, you might get to move quite a bit away from that line that you were going to play originally.
So that explanation, Roger, to me makes a lot of sense. And when I read the article, and like I said, I didn't see this going on. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me what they were saying. So it seems to me that if we go back to one of our first conversations, if you know the rules and you can use them to your benefit, if he could have done that, then that could have moved him away from that tree. Would he still have to hit that shot? So you understand?
So this is this is covered, by the way, under model local rule F23. And there's actually, let me see here, 13 pages on just this one local rule. And this is considered a local rule. So he can't take a unreasonable stance or an unreasonable swing to get the relief. It has to be, they use this word reasonable, which is not used a whole lot in the rules of golf book, but they use this a couple times in this 16 pages, that it has to be reasonable. So it can't be something just so out of the ordinary that 1 in a million chance that he's going to be able to pull off this shot, that kind of thing. And that's, I think, what another thing that this rules official ruled, that it would have taken an extraordinary effort. I'll say, Tiger Woods, he wouldn't have even been able to pull it off, that kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah. And the other thing to consider also is, let's say your ball is in the middle of a bush. You couldn't, and the temporary, and let's say that's all there was. There was a bush, and then the temporary movable obstruction was in your line of sight from that bush. Let's say the bush is 10 feet wide, and your ball is in the middle of it. So there's just no way you're even going to be able to take a stroke anyway. Even though that temporary movable obstruction is in your line of sight, you're not granted relief, because there's no way you would have been able to take a shot anyway if you're in the middle of a 10-foot wide bush.
Right.
You'd have to take an unplayable, basically. Yeah. So that's another key point of that rule. You can't just take it because it happens to be there. You have to have a reasonable shot at taking a stroke, taking a stance, the whole thing. And like I said, it isn't just the line of sight. It's whether it touches. It could be on or in, like consider the ball in a grandstand, the seats where everybody sits. It could be in one of those, so you get relief. Touches or is within where your swing, your intended swing that you might hit the immovable obstruction, the temporary obstruction.
I don't know about you, Tim, but I don't recall the last time I played with grandstands. So I don't know if I might have to worry about this.
It's been a while. Chris, this is one place you want to play. So we played it in Innisbrook a number of years ago where they still had the grandstands up from the PGA Tour.
Wow.
Nice. I say we get them down for nationals, get all the families down there.
That'd be great.
Have them around the 18th green.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So that is, you see that on TV pretty often. I mean, pretty much every week you'll see somebody getting relief for a TIO. But yeah, it's not one that I deal with that much anymore because even in like our local events or the amateur events, we don't have too much of that. We might, even you don't have TV coverage, and that's another big part of it. You get all the TV stands around that cause that rule to come into effect. So I hope that clears it up.
Yeah, that's good, Roger. Thanks for that. Do you have any others for us?
Yeah, so I played Golden Horseshoe. It was 2-day at regional. We had, you guys would appreciate this, we had over 50 players in the B flight alone. Jeez. And I think Lyle said it was the biggest regional that he's ever been involved with. I think there was like 168 of us. But anyway, so Golden Horseshoe has Island Green. I think it might have two of them. And this not only happened to me, but happened to a couple of players. Lyle instituted a local rule, which the committee, which would be Lyle, can put in. And although balls were hit into the water, might have even hit the green and rolled into the water, hit over the green into the water, he instituted a rule where you basically had to use the drop area that he designated, and other than stroke and distance from the tee box. And a few players got upset. I'll just say it like that because I don't know that I didn't see these other players, but their ball, they would have had a closer shot. Let's just put it that way. But you can, as a local rule, enforce that a designated drop area must be used if you aren't using stroke and distance, meaning hitting from the tee box again. And it was just an interesting one. It happened to me. I overshot the green one time and I saw where my ball went in and I thought, well, I'm just going to drop up there. But then Lyle actually happened to be, and some others, watching the hole just because it was fun for them. They were done with their round or they were playing in the afternoon. Yeah. And of course, I had birdied the hole before that. All three of the guys I was playing with hit the green and then I hit over the green. So I was like, well, I'm going to drop over here. And Lyle said, no, you got to use the drop area. And then I saw that was, so that's just an interesting thing that happened that don't be surprised if you are limited to using a drop area on some holes. And it doesn't have to be a par 3. It doesn't have to be a hole. It could be any hole really. If there's a designated drop area that they put that local rule into. So that was the other one that I thought was pretty interesting because it happened to a number of players.
Yeah, I have not come across that one before. Generally we don't, across the tour, we don't use drop zones anyway, unless you really kind of have to. Yeah.
And this one, it was a green where there's very little places to even drop, but it was also a pace of play issue because I don't know if you've ever played Golden Horseshoe. It's a big downhill, it's like, let's say it's 140 yards. It really plays like 100 because it's so downhill. And for somebody to go down there and then go back, and also it was kind of done for pace of play as well.
Right.
Yeah. So it was it was another good one that came up for that tournament.
Yeah. I'm sure Lyle and the rest of his crew were there and some money was exchanging hands.
Oh yeah.
When you think that was coming through. So.
I will say a funny thing that happened on, just interesting. You never know what's going to happen on tour. And, we talk about this tour. The tour is for a game for everybody. Mm-hmm. A guy in my group today, he wasn't having a great day. We got to the 18th hole. It was a par 3, decent distance. It was like 145. He was down for the day, and nothing was going right. Of course, he birdies the 18th hole, and we're thinking, another player says, "Well, guess what? You just got a super skin." It was his last shot, last roll of the day, and not only did he get the flight skin, but he gets a super skin, and we were just all so happy for him because you just never know what's going to happen on tour.
Yeah, good for him. That's a great way to end it because he doesn't go home with a sour taste in his mouth. Right.
So that was good. So that was it for me today. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm really enjoying these sessions, and like I said, it's a good refresher for me for some of these as well.
Well, we appreciate your time, Roger, and your insights are always great. I appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you, Chris.
All right,
have a good one. Tim, I mean it when I say that the idea of having Roger on our podcast has been tremendous knowledge for all of us. I mean, even, you may not play in a tournament where there's grandstands or things like that, but watching it on TV and knowing why this is happening or why this is not happening could make that viewing enjoyable.
Absolutely. And it may have been different if I had seen what was going on, but when I saw the article and started reading it, when I sent you guys, I'm telling you, I read the article 3 or 4 times, and I had still have a hard time understanding what they were talking about until, Roger, really kind of outlined, the process and why they did what they did. Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
A great iron set needs more than good looks. It's got to be fast and got to be pure. But good looks never hurt either. The all-new ZX Mark II irons from Srixon.
Right. And I mean, the rules can be interpreted so many different ways. It's kind of hard for golf. I mean, because it's supposed to be a gentleman's game and we're supposed to all be able to police ourselves. So being able to kind of have something to reference is great. And I mean, like I've said before in numerous podcasts, that we've done, I've used some of his advice to help, and I've also used it to hurt. So
hurt other people, right?
Yeah. I mean, it plays both ways, but it's good to be able to say, hey, we talked about it here, or be able to look at it, or even as a director, when you get the text message mid-round of, hey, what's going on with this? How does this work? And being able to have that answer quicker than having to Google it is nice as well.
Exactly. Like the one he just talked about, he had 13 pages of the ruling there. I mean, how are we going to get through that?
Right.
When we need to make a decision, relatively quick. So, but again, Roger's awesome. Glad he's taking his time and sharing it with us and sharing some knowledge with our members. But
sure.
Now, our next guest, you guys aren't even going to believe this. And I've known Ed for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years.
4 years.
4 years. Is it 4 years?
It is 4 years. Yeah.
So, it's Ed Monroe, D-Flight player from Milwaukee. Ed, welcome to the show, bud.
Thank you, Tim. It is a pleasure to be on the show with you and Chris. And I want to say this right out at the start. The reason that I continue to play on this tour is a direct result of how you and Jen made me feel like part of the family from my first tournament at Abbey Springs 4 years ago up to this day. I have the most tremendous amount of respect for you and Jen and this tour. I love this tour, and it is a pleasure to compete on this tour and to be part of it. And now being an assistant director, this is my summer. This is what I love to do, and this tour, Golf Week Amateur Tour, is my home.
And I really do appreciate those kind words. And when Jen hears this, it's really going to make, touch her heart and make her happy. And I'm glad that what we do comes across because, we love the tour as well. We love our members. We love what we do. It's tournament days are probably the best days of the week sometimes. Coming out and seeing you guys, seeing all of you and having fun and those types of things. But you're having a really, really good year. And I don't say this lightly. So you've played in 14 events this year.
16. 14 events and 16 rounds. Yeah.
16 rounds. But you've won 8. And on top of that, you also have a hole in one. So tell us what's going on this year.
If I could explain it, I would. It's really, it's the heater of heaters. I started out the season just horribly. We played in St. Louis in a 16-degree wind chill day, which was absolutely brutal.
Didn't it snow? No,
it didn't snow, but it was cold. I had to play in a battery heated jacket. It was that bad. Got to the round.
See, nope. Nope.
Yeah. No, I got through the round. It was cold. It didn't do all that well. I was like, okay. And then, played in the Chicago event, at Cantini. Wasn't playing well. I played a tournament over in Michigan West in East Lansing and finished second. Surprised myself because I didn't think I was doing all that well either. And then, we got into the first Milwaukee tournament. And going into that tournament, I said to myself, I'm not going to win this again. That would have, it was going to be 4 in a row if I'd won it. And I was like, for whatever reason, I've won every single first tournament of the year for Milwaukee ever since I played the first one at Abbey Springs. And I said streak finally ends this year. Well, it turned out I won it. And then the next one, Mike Miller had the round of his life, beat me by 8 shots. I was so happy for him. Mike, you've known Mike for a long time.
I've known Mike for years and years and
years.
Yeah.
And he needed that breakthrough win. He really needed that breakthrough win for him. And I was so happy for him. And then we got to the regional at Whistling Straits and just survived that and got a regional win, which to me, I thought I'd never get one of those ever. Never thought I'd be in contention in a regional. Got lucky and had a great round at Black Wolf Run to start. Never took driver out of my bag once. I get hybrid free off the tee every single tee shot there. And I started to do that the second day at Whistling Straits, and then all of a sudden just began to fall apart. And then walked off the 6th hole, and I was just discussing with myself and grabbed a bag of chips and a Gatorade and went to the R3 7th and stuck one to about 20, 25 feet, drained it for birdie. And I was like, all of a sudden the light flipped around. We got to the next tee box. My caddy hands me the hybrid 3. I said, no, I want the driver. And I began pounding drivers. The rest of it was amazing. And then, 18, I hit a little baby driver to the top part of the landing zone on the right. And then we shot it like about 187 yards. Thought about going for it for a second. And then I looked caddy and I said, well, let me aim about 155 yards out and try to put it in that little corner. And I hit the hybrid 3 or hybrid 5 of a life. And it just was beautiful. Landed there, chipped, and then had a 5-footer to win that tournament. Then we get to Harborside a little bit later on, and I'm playing with Eddie Mallett, who's become a good friend of mine from the Chicago tour, and I'm playing with David Bush. And
you were playing with David?
Yeah, I was actually playing with David.
Wow.
Yeah, we had just because David knows I don't like going out late in Chicago events. So he put Eddie and I up on that first one with him. And I forget who the other player was from Chicago in the champ play. And Eddie hits one to about 12 feet on the 4th hole. I was like, okay, I'm hitting the draw decently. that day. So I figured, well, it's 108 yards. I've got 9-iron. Let's just try to put a draw and get it inside of his ball. And I hit the thing, and it started out really nice, and it again a little draw. And I thought, all right, this will get on the green, and I have a putt for birdie. And all of a sudden, I hear the other champ flyer going, "Oh my God, that thing is online. That might go," blip, and it went in. And I just I jumped on David. Yeah. But I'd never had a hole in one in my life. I'd been close a few times, and I kind of had been to the realization I might never get one, but to get one and to get one in a tournament on top of it was the experience of a lifetime. And
that's awesome feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, never thought I'd ever get one. And it was so amazing to do it in a tournament. And then we had a couple of weeks off because I worked the American Family Championship before we played Brightondale, and I hadn't picked up a club in I had to be over a week, and I decided to go out to the range. And as we're on the range, my wife is videotaping what I'm doing, and I'm not hitting the ball very well. And all of a sudden she comes up to me and says, "Your back foot is pointed out. It's not lined up straight to the target." She's not a golfer, but she's seen enough golf that, because, I watch it all the time at home, and I turned and made that correction, and all of a sudden I'm hitting the ball decently, and I've been on a run ever since. It just, it just seems like whenever I've needed to hit a clutch shot, I've been able to come up big every time, and I'm walking out to those shots with the utmost confidence.
No, that's what it needs is confidence. And once you have confidence over the ball and your swing, you'd be surprised on things you can do. I know that's helped me this year. So it's just awesome to hear. And like Tim said, when he sent me those scores, I was like, wow, it's time to get moved up and start challenging yourself. But congrats on the same time.
Yeah, and I did play in sea flight a few years ago. Distance would be much more of a challenge for me because I don't hit the driver maybe 185 to 200 yards. My game is more, getting around the green, being able to putt decently and be able to chip decently. So we'll see. I mean, I had shot at the time, my best ever score in sea flight was 87, and I lost by 6 shots. I think in sea flight, I would have to be consistently 81, 82, 83 to be competitive in that flight. So, if it happens, it happens. Right. If I get moved up, I get moved up. But then we'll let the chips fall where they may. And but again, it's one of those years where everything I'm touching is turning to gold. It's amazing. And I've got, a great support system at home. And I've got, not only my friends on tour, but I've got friends on the Champions Tour who I'll reach out to every now and then. Len Matisse is one, Tom Gillis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, after I won that first tournament at Abbey Springs, I actually got a congratulation message on Twitter from Jerry Kelly. So, I've gotten to know all these guys from working the 18th hole at AmBam for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
ZX Mark II drivers are for major players, major winners, major power. All new ZX Mark II drivers, only from Srixon.
So you won your last event by one stroke, and we kind of talked a little bit about it off air. Why don't you tell the listeners on what happened and how you won that? And again, like you said offline, you'll take charity anytime you want, anytime it's given. But tell us what happened.
Yeah, so we're playing Washington County, and I started off terribly. I went triple-double the first 2 holes, and I was like, all right, I thinking, okay, this is not the day. Kind of got myself back into a decent spot. I was 4 shots down at the turn. And it's like, I'm just going to keep trying to stay close to bogey golf. And kept just grinding and was playing decent. I made an all-world bogey save on 15 after having to take a drop off the tee shot that went into the junk and stuck a wedge to 3 feet. Hit a really perfect wedge, made the putt, made bogey. It was like, okay, that's good. Then I birdied number 17. They had the tees moved up a lot farther probably than they should have been, but they were having a Hurricane Junior tournament right after us. So they had already gone ahead and moved tees up. So we had a nice birdie there. We get about halfway up 18, and I see that all of a sudden I'm in the lead by a shot. It's like, whoa, wait, what happened here? And Mike Coburn, who had the lead, had triple bogeyed, put the ball in the fescue and took like 3 shots to get out of that fescue on 17. So he triple bogeyed. Now I'm 1 shot in the lead. My tee shot at 18, and Tim, Washington County, there's the 2 bunkers that are on the left. And I hit my drive and I kind of pushed a little bit left, but I hit it with such force it actually landed in the bunker, rolled up and out, and popped up in between the 2 bunkers. Again, this is that, horseshoe that I've had with me all year. Pushed the next shot right and flubbed a chip, but then, got a nice little putt from off the green. Left myself, I made double bogey. It was like, okay, now I know Mike's got par to win, tie is a bogey. So I'm thinking, all right, this is very well likely going to be in a playoff. So I quick run to the clubhouse going, hey, what, hole are we going to have to go if we need a playoff? Because of all the other stuff going on. And he's like, okay, we're going to send you off a 10. I was like, okay. I get back out to watch Mike hit his approach shot to about 7 feet. I was like, good shot. He stands a good chance of making this putt. Just pushed it by a little bit on the left himself 1 foot. And I was like, all right, it's playoff time. And I haven't been in a playoff in a while. So, just trying to mentally prepare. And I turned back to watch Mike lip a 1-footer. And it was like, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, what just happened here? Yeah. Of all the dumb luck things, that happens, and I wind up with another win. I still can't explain it.
And like I said, I know Mike, and God bless him. I can only imagine the things that were said and the volume that was in the clubhouse afterwards.
I bought Mike a root beer because he had a little bit of a drive, so he didn't want to have a regular beer. I've known Mike for 4 years as well. Love him to death. He is a great guy. It's one of those things that happens. I've had, ones like that where I've just gone brain dead at the wrong moment and have cost myself some tournaments. But like I said, this year has been that year where there's only really been 1 tournament that I've kind of run away with. Otherwise, it's been 1 or 2 shots every tournament that I've won by. So it's not, me dominating the field. It's just coming up with clutch shots at the right time.
Right.
Yeah, it's now knowing that if I get in that situation, all right, be in that calm territory and be able to, all right, this is what I have to do. This is how I have to execute the shot to put myself in a better position to win.
Yeah, and just talking about Washington County as a for example. So in your history, you've played that one tour 4 times.
Yeah.
Okay. You've shot 91 on it 3 times.
Yeah.
And I think the other one was 89.
Something like that. Yeah, 89.
It was 89, I think.
Yeah.
Just say it was 89. So, that to me shows that's probably a good sample of, where your game is at on any given day. So that course for you, you're going to go and shoot low 90s pretty much, every time you go. And that, again, for me, that would be, okay, so now how do I go from shooting low 90s there to mid 80s? What do you have to do? Take Washington County as a for example. What do you need to do from going low 90s to mid 80s?
I think for myself, it's to be even more accurate with my short irons, hit more greens in regulation, give myself more chances at pars. That would get me to that, mid to low 80s. That's one thing. It's where I know that I've had some issues with where it's, I'm putting the ball close to the green, but not getting it on the green. So now I'm relying on chipping, and hopefully getting it close to have a shot at par.
Right.
And that's where my game is I have to be accurate on that second shot into the green to have those chances at pars, which then will get me into that range. Now, I played a practice round at Glen Erin about a month ago, and I shot a 78, a legit 78 at Glen Erin, 39. I was like, whoa, lowest score I've ever shot in my life. And Glen Erin's another one of those courses where, for whatever reason, it suits my game and I play it well.
Well, and that's your last tour of the year, your local tour championship.
Yeah.
So, good luck to you on that. I mean, and a 78 at Glen Erin, that's a good score.
Yeah, I was.
That's a good score.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that one. I never saw that coming. I kept looking at the scorecard going, I've got a legit shot to break 80 here. And then, to actually shoot a 79 or 78, I was just, amazed.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Well, let's change gears here for a little bit. Chris, we've had a lot of interesting characters on the show, as we're coming up to our 1 year anniversary.
Right.
Well, why don't you ask Ed, what's interesting and different about him? See if he has any type of alter egos or anything like that he wants to share with us.
Well, I mean, I can go off, what you're showing me there. I can take a good guess, but since this isn't a visual podcast, why didn't you give us a insight on that?
So many, many years ago, almost in a different life per se, I actually worked in professional wrestling. When I had moved to Waukesha in the mid 90s, I wound up working for a low power television station as their sports director. And one of the shows that they had on was a professional wrestling program. And so I got to meet the guys and be backstage, do some ring announcing for them. And it was a fun experience. I loved it. I had been a fan for a number of years. So the chance to actually get to work, in the background of things, it was awesome. Had an amazing time. Unfortunately, the show lost their major sponsor. There was a professional wrestler by the name of Nick Bockwinkel, former AWA world champion, who had a car dealership in West Dallas, and he was the main sponsor of the show. Well, he sold his car dealership, sponsorship went away, show went away. So I was like, well, I got a chance to be in it for a little bit. A few years later, I wound up working in a television station in Green Bay, and one of my coworkers one night said, "Yeah, I'm working for this professional wrestling outfit. we have a show in Wapaka. Why don't you come to the show? And I was like, oh, yeah. So drove over to Wapaka and watched the show. And it turns out the promoter had worked on those shows that I had worked on for the television station. And he immediately said, hey, I want to get you involved in this. You know, you can do our play-by-play on our videotapes and everything. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. And then later on, one night he asked me, do you want to do the commissioner gimmick? And I said, I'll do it on one condition. I need to take a bump, which in wrestling is how I need to take a fall. And it was awesome. And then eventually, unbeknownst to myself, a couple of the guys that I've been working with, and driving with over the months were talking to the promoter going, hey, we need to get this guy, actually as a manager of wrestlers, get him out there with guys who can't talk, and he can do the talking for them. And that led to me becoming a manager, Michael Van Snap, United States Attorney, managing a judge and a sheriff. We call ourselves Criminal Justice. And they put the tag team belts on us the first night, which was a utmost sign of respect that they actually put the championships on us the first night. And had a nice little run with that. And then the guy who was doing the sheriff couldn't make a lot of the shows, so it was just Judge and myself. And we had a nice long run. And then they had a couple of really big guys. One was 350 pounds. The other one was 450. And they called themselves the Love Brothers. And they needed a manager, but they needed me to change my character. So we went to Sexy Eddie Van Snap. So I started coming out in a vest, no shirt, spandex shorts.
Oh,
I mean, it's amazing. There's a picture, and I'll have to send it to you sometime, Tim, of me having been put through a table at a show where it looks like I'd been, absolutely killed. I started wrestling matches, and I had a ball with it. I got to play the bad guy. So my job was to come out, rile up the crowd, get beat up, send the crowd home happy. And it was a lot of fun. And I'm still a wrestling fan to this day. I was just watching AEW on TV here. I go to a lot of their shows when they're in Milwaukee, watch all the pay-per-views. So I still stay in touch with it. But, yeah, I'm too old and too broke and beaten up for it now. Can't do it anymore. I'd love to get the retirement match and never got inside of a steel cage. But, yeah, I had so much fun with it, and it was a really fun time.
Well, give us something in your wrestling voice for us.
Oh.
I keep coming to these tournaments, and I keep having these jabronis try to take me down, but they don't realize that I am the champion. I am not giving up this belt. I am going to keep taking them down. Come at me. You cannot handle the heat.
That's awesome.
Nice. Nice.
That is awesome.
Got a promo after all these years.
That's awesome.
Well, thanks so much for taking some time. I know you could bring a big crew to Hilton Head with you, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah, I'm hoping so. We're trying to get a lot of guys. I've been talking to everybody to, get us down, get as many guys as we can get down to Hilton Head. Friday night, we all gather with the Chicago guys, and a couple of my friends from New Jersey. We all gather at pool bar gyms for drinks and a fun time. But, I'm coming down early, because I can learn some more of the background stuff of running tours. This has been, like I said at the beginning, this is really what I live for on the weekends and really all year, because, like I said, Golf Week has been my home for 4 years. I never thought I'd have a chance to do it. I wanted to do it about 6-7 years ago. Didn't have the resources at the time, and then kind of lucked into a good job that gave me the ability to do it. I went out and got sponsors. So, who I've now converted into actual tour sponsors. So they're guys that, sponsor our events. And, I'm bringing marketing background and a promotional background that we haven't had up here in Milwaukee in the past. We've gotten, we've got us back into the golf show. We got ads on the radio station, the top rated golf show in the state of Wisconsin. We had ads on there. I believe in this tour. We've actually had an increase of 17 over last year. We went from 54 to 71, and of all the new members, we probably have close to 25 new members, and a lot of that is the work that I've put in from the golf show and being at the PGA Tour Superstore when they had their demo days, having a booth there and having the radio ads and being able to promote and stuff. And I think next year I'm just going to double down on that and even bring more promotion and talking to more people to get more sponsors. I want to have every event sponsored so I can increase payouts. That's a big thing. I want to see guys have a chance to win more money. There's a lot of things that I'm trying to do to make this even better than what we have. We only have this short time here in Wisconsin.
Winter starts next week up there. So.
Today it was 100 degrees. Literally 100 degrees. And I walked out of work and it was like walking into a blast furnace. It's supposed to be 100 tomorrow as well.
Hey, Chris doesn't want to hear about hot. He lives in El Paso, so he doesn't.
I like warm. I love Phoenix. I'm hopefully at the end of the season, I have to have some procedures on my elbow. I may have to shut it down for about 3 months. Depending on how things go, I'd love to go out to Las Vegas for the Western States Icebreaker. If not, the Florida regional at Innisbrook, I'd love to go there. So I think I'm going to do a few more regionals. Next year, it's fun to go to these other cities and see how they do their things and play in these other tournaments, talk to the other guys. I just have a blast doing it.
Well, I think if you got to have some stuff done in the off season, what your plan should be is just go to Hilton Head, win the national championship, and then you could take some time off.
Now, if I win the national championship, it would almost be, wow. I've never played well at nationals, and I don't know why. It's for whatever reason, I've had 9 rounds at nationals and have only broken 100 once. I had 3 practice rounds this past year and thought I was in really good shape. And then about the 4th hole on day 1, I started snap hooking everything. And it was like, oh, well, here we go. Another round at nationals. And I'm going to play better this year.
It happens. And, Chris played with Brian Lefebvre a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, Brian's a good guy. I actually broke his and his dad Roger's record for most wins in a career in Milwaukee. They both had 10 wins. Now, granted, I think some of those records are in.
You did that one season. Come on.
Seriously,
you're going to do that in one season.
I have a chance to actually do it in one season. I came into the season with 8, and my only goal was I want to get to 11. And then now I have 8 this season. It's like I'm at 16. I have to keep updating my Twitter bio every time I win one. So now it's out 16x.
Well, again, thanks so much for taking some time with us tonight. Do me a favor, tell everybody up there I said hi, and I will. Can't wait to see them when they come down to Hilton Head.
I'm looking forward to it, and I, always enjoy the party that you and Jen throw on the Saturday night. Love being there. And as I said, I love you guys to death.
Wait, hold on. What party is this?
Uh-oh.
So what we do is all the tours that we've been a part of, we have a party on Saturday night, and it's nothing major. We're just pizza and drinks, and sitting around, shooting shit, having fun. That's about it.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
it's Chicago, St. Louis, Atlanta, and DC Metro.
DC.
Yep.
That's a lot. I'll stick to El Paso.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh no, come on down.
Come on down, Chris. Yeah.
I'll be there.
And even come to the Friday night party over at Pool Bar Gym. So we you got that invitation.
I appreciate it.
See, David's never invited me over to that, so
Yeah, well, no, we just started that last year.
I don't want to deal with
That started last year. Because
It was during your pizza party.
it's not a pizza party. That Pool Bar Gyms is not a pizza party. That's a margarita party.
Yeah, Tim's pizza party he has.
Well, I'm hoping that David actually makes it this year. His wife's due right around the time, which is it's a real blessing for them.
Yes.
So, I'm praying that everything goes well, and if he, obviously, I hope he comes down. But if he doesn't come down, we'll give him a pass this year.
And I will say this about David: he is a fun guy to work with. I've learned a lot from him this year. Man, we talk usually once a week or every other week. So I've learned a lot from him about the tour and how to run things. David's a great guy. And I am really happy for him and his wife, having that first child. So we'll see. We're keeping the fingers crossed that he can make it, but understood if he's not able.
Yeah, we'll still give him shit.
Oh yeah. Always.
All right, bud. You take care of yourself.
Tim, thanks again. Chris, it is awesome to meet you as well. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the season and looking forward to Hilton Head again.
Yeah, likewise. I'm going to have to hear more of these wrestling stories.
Oh, yeah. I got tons of them.
Watching wrestling, so we'll talk.
All right.
Tim, Ed was a great guest to get on the show. Kind of reminded me a little bit of me when I started on tour. D-Flight won a bunch of events, and I didn't want to say it in our interview, but got moved up because I had to go in a playoff. So if I would have just taken second place, like a champ, I probably would have stayed in D-Flight for nationals, but I had to move up and go to C-Flight for my first nationals ever. So good luck to him. Just the performance he's having is great. And, that surprise, I didn't know the surprise, what he used to do previous. That was pretty cool because growing up, that's all I did was watch wrestling. So I'll tell you this much. When we were talking and he brought that up, I immediately Googled him to see if I could find pictures. But didn't find anything, which is probably good for him. But no, it was a great guest to have.
Yeah, and when you initially started that, I thought you were going to tell me that you had a past history of professional wrestling too, and then we'd have to shut the whole thing down.
No, not me. But I will tell you this much: it was good to have him on as a guest because it just shows what type of people all the tours have, and you never know who you're going to meet or just play golf with or anything like that.
Yeah, we've got all kinds, and Ed's salt of the earth guy. He really is, and that's actually the first time I've actually heard him, his wrestling voice, his wrestling persona. I mean, I've known about it since actually like the first tournament that we had. He talked about Abbey Springs, and when I was on the first tee, getting people ready to go, I asked him about his email address because his email address is evansmac. So it was evansmac something.com. I said, that's kind of weird. Tell me about your email address. And so he said, well, let me tell you about it after the round so I can play and not have, and so he, I've known about it for a while. But that's actually the first time I've ever heard his persona, which was hilarious.
Yeah. I think if we ever change our intro, we might have to have him just intro us in because that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I'm kind of glad you brought that up. We're coming up our 1 year anniversary here, and probably about 30 days would be my guess. I think our first episode was like right around the end of September.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming up on TBC regional, and that's when you asked me if I'd be interested in doing something like this. So, after getting everything, the ball rolling and everything like that, yeah, I would agree. It's coming up pretty quickly.
So, so that means we have to change some things, so maybe the intro, and I already changed some of the music because I don't want people, to continue having those gutter thoughts with the original music. Yeah, so we'll change some of the intros, and maybe we'll get Ed to maybe he's listened to it, but he doesn't know yet. But now he's listened to it. Maybe he'll be our intro man as we go into next year.
Yeah, I'd be down. I'd be okay with that. I think it'd be a cool way to get everything going.
Yeah, so you mentioned we're coming up on the TPC regional. It's this weekend, man. We got 2 regionals left. Why don't you kind of fill everybody in on TPC Scottsdale?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I get to do this one every year. Something that I've been looking forward to. Especially with the way I've been playing golf lately, I feel like I'm gonna have a good chance. Last year I was in C flight, but took second place, and that's what bumped me up. So can't wait to see how I can compete with the big boys now.
Well, you got some stiff competition. I think there's 50 some B flight players.
It's a big amount.
Yeah, it's pretty stacked. It's pretty stacked flight right there, I tell you.
I mean, well, to be honest with you, with it being
so hold on. I'm just looking at the roster real quick. You got Kevin Durant is in your flight.
Oh no. I don't know if I can deal with that. No, I mean it's gonna be fun. Typically with this being one of the bigger ones that there is, I'm used to having big groups. I mean like the 30s, but the 50s. Hey, I'll be happy if I place top 10. I think that's a good goal to go with, and then after day one, if I'm in top 10, then kind of shoot for the lead after that.
Yeah, and I think you should probably use Joe Jasper's philosophy. Stay away from the big number on the first day, and put yourself in good position to make a move on day 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I went up to Dallas, it was a pretty big group too. So I think that might have prepared me for what's going on. And this past weekend, on my local tour, we had a 2-day event at 2 different courses. So kind of get my mind ready for what we see at TPC, playing 2 different courses on 2 days.
So which course are you on first?
Typically we'll start on the stadium course first, which is nice because I honestly, it's a longer course for me from the tee boxes we play. So if I can just stay, good short game, good chipping, 1 putts, 2 putts here and there, no big numbers on putts. I think I can stay consistent, and then the Champions course is a lot shorter, so it kind of helps me get lower in those clubs.
Yeah, but I think the Champions course is harder though. I mean, the stadium course is long. I personally think that the Champions course is a much harder course to play and get around.
Well, I mean, it is because it's not as open as the stadium course. The stadium course is wide open. I mean, I'm going to tell you, when you're looking at it on TV, it looks like it's really, really tight. But once you get on those tees, you can tell it's a pretty wide open course. And the Champions course, you have to be disciplined on not hitting driver every hole and kind of keeping it in the middle. There's just a stretch. I'm going to tell you, there's a stretch of holes on stadium course where it's around that big lake that they have in the middle of the course. And I seem to find that lake on every hole that touches that course. That pond, it's never failed, and I'm trying not to think about it when I go this weekend, but it's always in the back of my mind, and it never fails. I'll just put a sleeve of golf balls in the cart and just be ready for those stretch of holes.
So this is something that I was told a long time ago. I used to carry 2 or 3 balls, put a couple balls in my pocket when I go up to the tee box. And that way, if I ever needed one, I had one.
Right.
The pro told me, he said, only carry 1 ball because that changes your whole mentality. That's your ball. And so take that sleeve of balls and put it back in your bag and don't even think about it. Just go out and play your game. Hit the ball where you want to pick your spot. Like, remember Joe says he picks a spot, and Joe always hits his spot, right? Pick your spot and hit your spot.
I'll take that into consideration.
Yes.
Maybe that'll change it because, good Lord, like I need help.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I'm excited though. I'm really excited. There's 2 fun courses to play. And I mean, we've talked about it, with all these regionals I've been able to go to, this one still has a piece of my heart. Maybe because I helped Gabe run it. I don't know, but it's a lot of fun to go out there and play.
Yeah, and even though that the stadium course is wide open, you can hit it out in the desert if you want, but you're going to have some friends out there when you go out and look for that ball.
Oh, yes. I always have my snake stick with me. Make sure nothing jumps out and tries to get me.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the nasty kind of snakes out there too.
Right. They're no fun.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, there was a video of a Amazon driver that was delivering a package out in Arizona, and there was a rattlesnake sitting up on the porch.
Oh.
That, somebody had a Ring video cam, and it actually caught the snake, coming up the steps and
Nope.
Yep. And the Amazon driver killed it and threw it away. It's like, done.
Yeah.
Time to find a new job.
Yep. I don't even want to deal with that. The second I hear something, even if it's the wind just moving a cactus around, the second I hear it, no, I'm done. Where do I drop? Or sorry, buddy, you find it on your own, because I ain't dealing with that. I deal with it enough year round. I don't want to have to double think about it.
I'm out. I told Jen the first time we see a snake on our lot, we're moving. Selling it, we're moving.
That's like that spider meme when somebody sees a spider. All right, burn the house down. We're done.
That's it. Well, let's get back to Scottsdale for a quick second. So there's I think there's 182, 183, 184 players somewhere in that neighborhood. And I'm sure Gabe's listening. He said, "You get the number right. Get the number right." Gabe, whatever that number is, you got a lot of players. So it's pretty awesome. And you've got 28 tours represented that are going to be out in Scottsdale this coming weekend. That's a ton of players. That's a ton of tours.
Oh yeah, I mean we've got some guys from Hilton Head even coming out to play.
Well, you got a couple of Atlanta guys coming too.
Yeah, I mean it's represented from all over the country, which is nice to see. Because one, you're the last weekends of regionals. So if you're looking for those extra full points from a visiting tour, this is one to do it. But also, New York, upstate, we got a guy coming down from there. It's just cool to see. And it's cool to meet all these people. And then, when you get to see them at nationals and they're like, "Hey, do you remember me? We played at TPC." And it's fun to catch up and see how the rest of their season went.
Yeah. And I'll be watching. I'll be following. So keep that in mind. I won't text you during the round, but I do watch. I watch. I won't text you during the round. So
right.
But just make sure when you're on 17, or you have to, it's 17, whatever the par 3 is there.
16.
The 16. There you go. If you get a hole in one there, you need to stop what you're doing, take a picture, and send it to me.
Oh, I'll if I get a hole in one there, I'm jumping in that lake. Like, don't get it twisted. I'll be soggy the last 2 holes, but that's fine with me.
Awesome.
Unless it's like my second hole, because we're doing shotgun, and then that would be, I'll come back around and jump in the pool then.
All right. Well, I mean, so you're helping Gabe out. You got to tell Gabe to either put you, start you at 1A or 10A.
Right. No, he usually hooks it up, but it's one of those things where we want to get going quick because it's hot. It gets hot real quick over there, and we want to get done as quickly as possible. So we'll make it work. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see what happens, and we'll go from there.
We talked about the French Lick regional a couple weeks ago. Just a quick update on that one. They've got 120 players. They're sold out as well, and they have 20 tours represented. So if you look at both those regionals, you've got somebody from almost every tour in the country is playing at one of these regionals on these last, the last regional weekend of the year.
Right.
I think I probably only missed like a handful, maybe 5 to 10 different cities that don't have somebody playing in there. And that to me is, number one, that's a testament of the quality of the courses that we're playing and the dedication that our members and our players have to competing at these, great high-end facilities.
Yeah, it's good to see. Again, I keep saying that, but it's always nice to see, and they're only going to get bigger. And if we keep having great showings out there, you're going to play the best of the best that go to these regionals, and it's going to prepare you for nationals or for any bigger tournament you're going to play. And it's a good test of your game too. They're all 2-day events, so it's not like if you have a bad day on one day, you can always come back. Anything can happen in golf, especially the night the night in between. Anything can happen. Somebody might go to a seafood place, have some bad seafood, and they're done for day 2, or go party too hard because they're leading after day 1 and they think they got it in the bag. Anything can happen. I've seen it all. So
or like one of the James brothers says, he ate that chicken.
Yeah,
he's a chicken.
Yes. Anything can happen. I mean, there was one nationals where I think day 3 got to the course. Because, I mean, when you come out from out of town, you carpool and you have like 4 guys. So one guy drops everybody off and goes. I got dropped off, and I told one of my tour members that happened to be there with me, said, "Hey, I'm going to find a couch. Come get me when they start rounding people up to the carts." And I literally sat on that couch for about an hour and 15 minutes, fell asleep with my hat over my face. And he came, he's like, "All right, we're getting ready." And I went out there and I just practiced chipping while they were doing announcements, because just to get your body wound up ready to go. Anything can happen. I think I had my best round of those 3 days, that round. But it's golf. It's funny
how it works.
Fun.
Like that. Yeah.
And that's where we play the sport, is to have, they say that one good shot that brings you back. That one round can also bring you back, and then you're stuck for the rest of your life.
Exactly. All right, man. Wish you the best at that. And, as always, if anybody has any questions for us, you can send me an email at timnatc@amateurgolftour.net, or Chris
at El Paso @amateurgolftour.net.
And hope everybody enjoys the final regional weekend of the year. And Chris, we're 45 days away from national championship. Less than 45 days, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
That's insane. I can't believe we just talked about how quickly time flies, and we're already there.
It's crazy. So, if maybe next episode we can get some winners on and get somebody from national office to talk about the national championship and some of the updates and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to recall, I think one of our first episodes was about the national championship. The first couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to continue that, because I think that was good information. I mean, we got that it was good information for people that were going for their first time. So be prepared for that, especially if it is your first time going. We'll get you some needed information that you might not even know about.
Exactly. And we should probably think of what we're going to do for our anniversary special. If anybody wants to send us anniversary gifts, we're open.
Yes.
So whatever it is you want to send us.
Yes. We're whatever you want.
Bottles of bourbon, whatever you want to do. All right, bud. Hope you travel safely, and let me know what's going on. And hey, and if you want to jump on a call quick and with a player or winner, let me know. I'm available all weekend. So
yeah, we'll make it work. I know I will hear it nonstop about how great we're doing. So I'll probably steal 1 or 2 people out from there.
Sounds good to me.
All right, brother. Well, be safe. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Send my best to everybody out there, and we'll talk to you soon. Chris, we didn't do it again.
What didn't we do?
We didn't say how to join the tour.
That's right. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.